Hello, Aubrey. How are you today?
I'm great, Lindsay. How are you?
Good. Glad to be here on IELTS Energy. So,
Yeah.
Aubrey, do you ever read forums online when you're trying to get information for something?
Yes, sometimes when I'm planning like an episode for All Ears English or here, I will do a Google search and I'll read a few forum questions and answers. And without fail, it's so crazy how often everyone's arguing, or I'll read things that are just not true. Like I know they're not true. So I don't trust
Yes.
a lot of what I see on forums.
Yeah, I don't either. Or, it's extreme what you read. I
Absolutely.
was recently in the airport when I went to California a couple weeks ago, and I need to take pills for something, a small health issue
Mm.
recently, and I was googling this health issue on Reddit, and it made me absolutely stressed out because the most extreme examples were on there, because people who are in extreme situations will go on there and share their experience. I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Right.
And
Don't
so by
read
the time
Reddit
I
for
got to
health advice.
California, I was in a
Oh my
stress
goodness.
ball, right?
Right. No, you don't
So
want that.
yeah, so just not really the best place to go for the truth
Exactly.
about things, right?
Yes, and as you guys know, sometimes we will check IELTS forums because there are
Yeah.
interesting questions there. Today we're sharing a question posted on an IELTS forum. Many answers were posted with conflicting advice. So we
Mhm.
are going to share advice you can trust. There are actually four different questions in this one post. So Lindsay, do you want to go ahead and read it for us?
Yes, here we go. All right. I have the following problem. In two different places on the internet, there are different tips on how to write a task 2 essay, how a task 2 essay, academic essay, should look. For example, some say you mustn't introduce examples from personal experience, while others say it's okay. They say that's how an introduction should be structured. That's the way you should present your arguments. Well, when I look at sample essays, they don't always follow it. So, my question is there some true advice about this stuff? Something official? Official criteria for examiners? Seems rather vague. I'm worried I won't know enough about the subject they're asking me to write about it. I've looked at a few practice papers, and they are all subjects I feel I couldn't write about well. There's been no mention of supporting information sheets on these topics. Is there any? How has everyone else dealt with this? Okay,
So
a
many
lot of
good
questions,
questions, and
but
I can
really the
feel
same
the
question. Yeah.
frustration
Mhm.
emanating from the student, right? They're like,
Yeah.
"I'm seeing all this conflicting advice,
Mhm.
sample essays that are so different. How do I know what to trust? Who's right?" It's so tricky, and then this is
Yes.
posted on a forum, and the answers are like people are like, "Yes, use personal examples," and other people are like, "No, absolutely not." How do you know
Yeah.
who's right?
No,
Oh, so
dangerous.
tricky.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't go to a forum for health advice
no.
or
Right?
IELTS advice.
Exactly, right? So we are going to answer all of the questions in this, starting with this question about personal examples on task 2,
Okay.
right? Lindsay, can students use personal examples on IELTS writing task 2?
Yes, you can definitely use examples from your own life, right? The instructions do tell you to draw from personal experience. And it can also be people you know who have had those experiences too, right?
Exactly, right? You just have to make sure that you're writing about them in a formal academic way. It will
Hmm.
be different than when you tell that story to a friend, or right?
Yeah.
You are using these examples to back up, to justify your ideas. And so
Yes.
it can be from your personal life or about the city you live in, the country you live in. You are told in the instructions, draw from your personal experience. So
Yeah.
absolutely you can use those examples. Anyone who tells you that you should not is wrong.
So then why do we think that there aren't any sample essays that follow, like, why don't sample essays follow the advice that
Yeah,
we've
this is the
seen?
second
Yeah.
question he's
Hmm.
asking, right? I'm
Yeah.
seeing all of these sample essays.
Hmm.
Why don't they all follow the advice I'm seeing online? Why are they all so
Hmm.
different, right?
Yes.
That is because there are many ways to write an IELTS Task 2 essay, right?
Yes.
There's not just one right answer. So
Hmm.
templates, sample essays won't all be the same.
Hmm.
And what you need to do is find strategies, find templates that make sense for you, that you know you can trust, and
Hmm.
stick with those. Because whoever your IELTS teacher is, they might be teaching you a good way to do it. Like that can be strategies that could score you 7 or higher. And then another
Hmm.
teacher, it might be a little bit different, but could also score 7 or higher as long as you understand what the examiner is looking for in your essays. There's not just one right way.
Yeah. And there should be templates for each type of essay, right, Aubrey? I mean, a problem
Absolutely.
solution essay will have a different template than an opinion essay or an argument essay, don't you think?
Exactly, because those are going to work differently. So if you are reading a topic for an argument essay and then you're looking at sample essays that are problem solution, those are going to be very different too. So make sure you're comparing like to like, right? We don't want to
Mhm.
compare apples and oranges, but also like for example in 3 Keys IELTS, we
Mhm.
will give templates and strategies and you can know that these you can trust. They might look different from the sample essays you're seeing online. Not that that's not also a good way to do it, but if you can
Mhm.
find one system of strategies to stick to and practice and trust, then you will be ready on test day to get the score you
Yeah.
need.
It's just so much easier. You have one template. Now, are you going to search the internet for another template? Are you going to try to find out who wrote that template? Are they qualified? That's
Right?
why
What
we
are you spending
recommend,
your time on? You have
yeah.
limited time.
That's why we just recommend getting into our course, allersenglish.com/KEYS for the 3 Keys IELTS success system. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are 2 more questions here that we're going to give you the answers for. So many good questions in this one forum post.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Okay, Aubrey, we are back. So the next question that our student had was, is there true official advice?
Yeah, and the answer is no. There is no true official advice, right? There is not one right answer for pretty much anything on IELTS. There are specific things that you can read from, IELTS about
Mhm.
how it is scored and the scoring system and some specifics. But when it comes to advice about essays, for example, about
Mhm.
how to write the best IELTS task 2 essay, IELTS
Mhm.
doesn't tell you that. They just give you the scoring rubric.
Yeah.
And from there, you're on your own, or you need to find someone who can give you strategies you can trust.
Yeah, there are the band score descriptors, right? And we have
Hmm.
that chart in our course, but then different courses or different teachers will interpret those band score descriptors differently and create strategies and templates based on them, right? So,
Exactly. So as long
yes.
as you know that the system of strategies you are using satisfies the scoring requirements for 7 or higher, or 9
Mhm.
if that's what you're looking for, follow that, stick with it because it will take a lot of practice to be ready on test day. It's not enough to just know the strategies and then go on test day like I'm going to be you have to practice them a lot, writing
Yeah.
essays, timing yourself. So it's vital that you find the strategies you trust and stick with them while you practice.
Yeah, that's a good point, Aubrey. I love that. And we've said over the years, one thing you can do is if you're not 100% sure, if you're worried that maybe what you're learning doesn't link back to the descriptors, ask your teacher when they start to teach you a strategy, which part of the chart of the descriptors does this link back to? Right?
Yes, right? Have them show you on the IELTS band
Yes.
descriptors and
Yes.
explain it to you why that is
Hmm.
necessary.
Yeah, because some teachers maybe came over from academia, started teaching IELTS, but may not be teaching the right thing.
Right, or they're
And maybe
TOEFL
you
teachers.
guys,
Make
yeah,
sure that
yes,
they understand the scoring system.
yes. What would be number 4, Aubrey? What's the
Yeah,
next
so the
question?
final question that is asked here in this very long question is that this student feels like they don't know enough about IELTS topics. They're worried they're
Mm,
going to get task 2 essays that they don't know anything about.
mm.
And you're not alone. A lot of you out there have felt this. Task 2 questions are tough. There are no information sheets provided by IELTS.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, how can students gain confidence that they can write about any topic they will get on test day?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Aubrey. And I understand the stress, right? So, a couple
Absolutely.
things that we recommend here at Allers English, you can brainstorm a lot of topics, right? Get in the habit of brainstorming numerous topics. What's your opinion? What ideas could you support? What supporting details and examples would you use if you were asked this question on an essay, right?
Exactly. And you can brainstorm more essays than you actually write. So if you
Mm-hmm.
like brainstorm 5 task 2 topics for every essay you write, think
Mm-hmm.
how much better you will be ready to quickly brainstorm whatever essay you get on test day, right?
Oh,
You
that's
don't
a great
have to
idea.
write them all.
I love that idea. I love that. What else can we do, Aubrey?
Yeah. So, secondly, you need to be taking in a lot of different information in English. You should be reading the newspaper a few times each week and reading the different sections,
Mm-hmm.
economy, right? There's all these different, because you don't know what your task 2 topic will be. You also
Mm-hmm.
need to listen to podcasts you wouldn't normally listen to. You must
Mm-hmm.
broaden the information you're taking in. If you love true crime podcasts, when you're preparing for IELTS, is not the time to only listen to true crime because
Yeah.
that is not going to cover the broad range of topics you might get for task 2.
But what I love about podcasts is that podcasts are very nerdy. They're very niche and nerdy, right? So you could
You
find a
can find
podcast
podcasts
on
on every topic or lots
anything.
of topics, podcasts that cover every topic out there.
Yes. If you just subscribe, I mean, I really like the daily And
That's
the
a
Wall
good
Street
one.
Journal podcast, the
Yes.
Journal, they do cover these days it's a lot of politics, rightfully so, but they cover a broad range of stories.
Yes.
So we kind of need to know a little bit about most things, which I think we should want to know a little bit about most things, Aubrey, that are going on in
Yes.
the world, right?
Right. But the good news is that IELTS won't ask you about extremely specialized niche
Mm.
topics that you won't know
Hmm.
anything about. If you're listening to the Daily Wall Street, those are the kind of topics IELTS will ask you about, right? The
Yeah.
questions will be about things in the news that the general public knows about. So don't
Hmm.
stress about every little niche, crazy thing and these YouTube channels. No, right? It will
Yeah.
be generally in the news, the
Right.
environment, social
Hmm.
issues that you have heard about before, but you need vocabulary, you need ideas, you need to know what your opinion is. So it doesn't take you a lot of time to brainstorm on test day.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, what you just mentioned. Not only getting a survey of what's going on in the world, but what is your opinion? Spending time thinking about our opinion. It's easy to just take in news, take in topics, and maybe not take time to process what we actually think that may be, apart from what we're
Yes.
reading, right? So that's a muscle we can exercise to prepare
Yes.
too, right?
And it's vital because as soon as you see that test two topic essay, often you're going to need to decide whether you're writing an argument essay where you're defending
Mm,
both sides or an opinion essay where you're only defending one side. You should
yes.
know that ahead of time about everything in the news, about all of the major social issues to save yourself time.
I love that. Good point, Aubrey. Well, this has been really good. We managed to answer all 4 questions here from our
Yes.
listener to clear some things up. And number one takeaway here, stay away from those forums, right?
Exactly right. You don't know who's answering the questions. Any student could be throwing out their guess, right? So
Mhm.
all students in our online course, 3 Keys IELTS, has access to our community and can ask IELTS questions and get
Yes.
quick answers they know they can trust. This is vital that you have a community, a support community, and also somewhere that you can ask questions and get answers to so that you know you're prepared on test day. You're getting information you can trust.
I love that. So good. All right, Aubrey. Well, thanks for being on with me today. So exciting to be on the IELTS Energy podcast. And I'll see you back here very soon.
Awesome. See you next time.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.